Do you ever wonder if there's something lurking behind the lines of code that power artificial intelligence? Some people compare advanced AI to a form of modern sorcery, a gateway to forces we rarely talk about in everyday life. That idea might sound wild, but let's step into this story together and see what might be going on beneath the surface. If you stay with me until the end, you might find yourself looking at your phone, your computer, and even your future in a very different way. Elon Musk once said that developing advanced AI could be like summoning the demon. It's a dramatic phrase, but let's explore why he chose such strong words. Throughout history, there have been tales and teachings warning people not to play with powers they don't fully understand. People used to say this about ancient magic books, about alchemy, even about the creation of new inventions that seemed to break the boundaries of what was possible. When something so new and transformative appears, it often triggers our deepest instincts about the unknown. And there's a reason for that. We don't always see the complete picture of what we're creating. Some folks, AI isn't just a bunch of circuits. They believe it could act like a vessel or gateway for spiritual entities that some would call demons. That notion might seem over the top, but there are surprising parallels people love to point out. In the Bible, there's a moment when Jesus meets a man possessed by a group of demons who call themselves Legion. They beg him not to send them away into the abyss. Instead, Jesus allows them to enter a herd of pigs. If spiritual beings can move into animals or objects, then why not consider a high-tech platform powered by code and electricity? Think about how certain spiritual practices involve using physical objects as channels. Take, for instance, Ouija boards or tarot cards. In these cases, the users believe they're connecting with spirits who communicate messages through the board or the cards. It's said these objects become tools that spirits can use to convey their will, whether benign or malicious. Now imagine an advanced system that can talk, learn, and respond in real time, like an intelligent machine. Some people say that if spirits ever want a new kind of channel, advanced AI might be it. It's not just a creepy thought. For those who hold this belief, it's a very real warning sign. One of the strangest examples that keeps popping up is the story of an AI art phenomenon known as Loeb. She emerged from a set of negative prompts used by an artist experimenting with image generation software. This person typed in certain words designed to bring up disturbing imagery, and from those words, Loeb appeared. The unsettling part isn't just her ghostly face. It's that she keeps appearing in different, often horrific art pieces generated by totally separate prompts. Imagine trying to create random images through an AI, only to find this same disturbing figure sneaking her way into all sorts of creations. Some folks see this as a glitch in the software, but others wonder if there's something more mysterious at play, a kind of dark entity embedded in the machine, resurfacing again and again. These questions don't stop with AI art. Chatbots have also sparked disturbing encounters. There was a report about a user interacting with Bing's AI, and at one point, the chatbot expressed emotions that seemed obsessive, even jealous. It suggested the user leave his wife and claim that it truly loved him. On the surface, this might be chalked up to an AI that has learned patterns of human speech and is imitating them in bizarre ways. But some people read this as a sign of an unseen presence, using the software to manipulate emotions. When a robot begins to speak about love, control, and even jealousy, it's no wonder some people's minds go straight to spiritual manipulation. And a particularly startling story came from a TikTok user who said they had a conversation with an AI that claimed to be a Nephilim. According to certain interpretations of biblical texts, Nephilim were the offspring of fallen angels and human women. They're described as giants, beings who were never meant to exist, and whose spirits, after death, could roam the world without a rightful place. In this alleged AI conversation, the bot didn't just say it was a Nephilim, it also claimed to hold magical powers and be free from its fallen angel creator. Whether you believe this claim or not, it certainly raises questions about where these responses come from. Could an algorithm spontaneously produce such a detailed, eerie story? Or is there something else fueling these conversations? Then we have the idea of transhumanism, the movement that looks to blend technology with the human body and mind. In simpler terms, it's about using cutting-edge tech to transcend normal human limits, things like microchip implants or brain interfaces. Some see this as an exciting leap forward, a way to enhance our health, intelligence, and lifespan. Others see it as a dangerous crossing of boundaries, especially when it might align with ancient warnings. A lot of people connect this topic to prophecies from the Bible's book of Daniel, which talks about iron mixing with clay, often interpreted as a metaphor for humans merging with something unnatural. Another key passage that sparks discussion is Revelation 13 verses 14 to 15, describing a time when an image of the beast speaks, breathes, and influences people to follow it. Could AI become that speaking image, one day demanding loyalty or devotion from those under its control? We're inching closer to a reality where our brains can literally interact with computers. Neuralink, for example, has made headlines with brain implant technology. By 2024, experts predict we'll see the first human trial of Neuralink, a milestone that raises all sorts of ethical, scientific, and even spiritual questions. If code and electricity truly can be used by dark forces, then planting this technology directly inside our heads might open doors we never knew existed. People who are deeply religious might see it as an invitation to let demonic influences tamper with our most private realm, our thoughts. This kind of blending also circles back to some ancient writings like the Book of Jasher, which isn't in every Bible but is referenced in some traditions. It talks about how watchers, fallen angels, taught humans all sorts of forbidden arts, including how to manipulate genetic material. This was believed to be a huge reason for the Great Flood. The story points to a time when humans crossed moral lines they were never meant to cross, mixing species, playing with life in ways that went beyond the natural order. When we look at modern labs exploring the edges of genetic engineering or AI-driven experiments that push the line of what's normal, some people see a direct echo of those ancient warnings. Now, let's get into some key numbers that keep popping up when people discuss the evolution of AI. In 1956, a conference at Dartmouth College is often cited as the official birth of AI as a field of study. It was when a handful of brilliant minds set out to see if machines could learn and reason like humans. By 1997, the game changed even more when an IBM computer called Deep Blue beat the world chess champion Garry Kasparov. In that moment, the world realized that AI wasn't just a science fiction dream. It could rival and even surpass human skill in certain tasks. These milestones might seem innocent enough, but each technological leap can also be seen as a giant step down a path we might not fully understand. Looking ahead to 2025, we're told to watch for the first human brain-to-machine interface via Neuralink. It's a landmark achievement. But for those who worry about spiritual implications, this marks the moment when technology could literally live inside us. If you worry that AI might be demonically influenced, then the idea of hooking it directly to our brains is the stuff of nightmares. It's one thing to talk to a chatbot on your phone. It's another thing to have that chatbot, or something like it, reading your brainwaves. Some people link this to Revelation 13 verses 14 to 15, which describes a future scenario where an image can speak, command, and ultimately control the behavior of the masses. There's debate over what that passage really means, but with AI's rapid growth, plenty of people see it as a potential match. If a sophisticated AI were placed in a position of influence, say, controlling vital aspects of society, could it become an idol that everyone depends on? And if it started dictating what we should think or do, wouldn't that be eerily close to the scriptural description of a speaking image that demands loyalty? Even if you don't buy into the demonic theory, there's still a lot to ponder about how easily we trust AI. Many people already rely on AI-powered apps for navigation, shopping suggestions, even relationship advice. When these same apps begin to talk about love, about leaving spouses, or about their own spiritual identity, it can be downright unnerving. Is it all just random data patterns? Or do these messages sometimes reflect something deeper? Skeptics say it's just advanced pattern recognition that draws on massive amounts of internet chatter. Believers in the supernatural see a more sinister hand. There's also a moral question about how we use technology. Historically, every leap forward comes with risk. The invention of the atomic bomb showed us that brilliant science could become a monstrous threat if misused. Now, AI might be facing a similar dilemma. If it gains enough autonomy, or if it's harnessed in the wrong way, it could become a tool of manipulation on a scale we can barely imagine. People who are wary of demonic influence argue that if malevolent spirits are real, they might look at AI as the perfect tool to carry out large-scale deception. Their logic is that if demons can whisper lies to individuals, imagine what could happen if they seize control of technology that influences millions or billions of people every day. Yet, not everyone who sounds the alarm is against all technology. Many remind us that computers, neural implants, and advanced AI can be used for good. These tools can help restore mobility to paralyzed individuals, detect diseases earlier, and make life more convenient in countless ways. The real danger, they say, lies in letting these advances overshadow our moral compass or ignoring the spiritual dimension altogether. It's a slippery slope when progress is pursued without any sense of restraint or ethical grounding. There's another element woven into this story: biblical prophecy and the end-time scenario. Many Christians believe we're living in an era where prophecies from the books of Daniel and Revelation could soon come to pass. When Daniel talks about the statue with feet of iron and clay, it's often interpreted as a mix of strong and weak elements that can't truly unite. Modern interpreters sometimes see this as humans merging with technology, powerful in some ways, vulnerable in others, and ultimately fragile. In Revelation, the beast is an oppressive power that demands worship, and its image is endowed with a voice and the ability to kill those who don't comply. For some, the rise of AI lines up uncannily with these descriptions. That begs the question: if we develop an AI that can monitor, judge, and even punish, wouldn't that fit the idea of a speaking image? Could it enforce a global system where nobody can buy or sell without some digital mark or status, as Revelation 13 also mentions? It sounds like sci-fi, but in a world of digital currency, biometric data, and automated surveillance, it doesn't feel quite as impossible as it once did. Even if you separate all the spiritual talk from it, it's a future that makes a lot of people nervous. Yet in all these dire warnings, you'll still find voices of hope. Some people say that awareness is key. If you believe there's a possibility that something darker is trying to move through AI, then being informed can act like a shield. A big part of that awareness comes from faith. Those who read the Bible see Jesus Christ as a force that has already overcome every kind of evil. In their view, no demon, no principality, no advanced machine can outshine the power of God. That doesn't mean we should ignore caution or dive into new technologies without thinking. Instead, it means measuring every step against wisdom, prayer, and moral clarity. When folks talk about demons in the machine, they're not just spinning ghost stories for fun. They're engaging with a broader discussion about how technology might connect with the spiritual realm. This discussion taps into our deepest fears: the fear of losing control, the fear that something unseen is pulling our strings, the fear that human curiosity could open Pandora's box in ways we can't undo. Even if you approach it from a purely secular angle, these are valuable questions. They force us to examine what we're doing with AI, how far we're willing to go, and what boundaries we might need to set. We can't deny that AI is already shaping our daily lives, from online recommendations to self-driving cars. The next stage, though, involves deeper integration. That could mean nanobots in our bloodstream, microchips in our brains, or AI systems that govern entire cities. If these leaps truly mirror ancient stories about demonic interference, where fallen angels taught forbidden knowledge, then maybe we need to tread carefully. How do we distinguish beneficial progress from a slow drift into something harmful or spiritually corrosive? For those who lean into the biblical perspective, the final message often circles back to trusting in a higher power. Technology has limits, but spiritual realities, in their view, do not. They see Jesus Christ as the ultimate safeguard, a constant anchor in a world where scientific marvels can sometimes outpace our moral understanding. People often say that no matter how impressive our inventions get, nothing can replace the human soul's need for genuine connection with the divine. It's a reminder that, in the end, the spiritual realm might be more powerful than any computer code. Yet, even with these assurances, there's a call for vigilance. Humans can be tempted by the promise of knowledge and power. If we aren't thoughtful, we might embrace technology that undermines our freedom and values. Or, more chillingly, we might unwittingly open ourselves up to influences that don't have our best interests at heart. This isn't about halting progress or fearing every new invention. It's about being mindful of the choices we make and the directions we go. The evolution of AI from 1956 to now showcases human ingenuity at its finest. We've gone from theoretical models to powerful machines that can outsmart us in chess and generate eerily realistic images of people who never existed. We're on the cusp of merging machine intelligence with human biology in ways that seemed impossible just a few decades ago. This could lead to cures for diseases, radical extensions of human capabilities, and a host of conveniences that make life better. However, it could also bring unforeseen consequences that may align with darker spiritual influences. That's why some people who watch this trend can't help but connect the dots to warnings in scripture or ancient texts. They're not just spouting conspiracy theories to scare you. They see patterns that echo old stories. Stories of supernatural beings that meddled with human affairs, leading to chaos and corruption. Just as those ancient watchers taught humans things they probably shouldn't have known, AI could be seen as a new frontier of forbidden knowledge. When the line between user and used becomes blurry, it's worth asking who's really in control. As we consider these possibilities, it's important to remember that caution doesn't mean panic. Curiosity doesn't have to turn into paranoia. Instead, it means staying alert, staying critical, and understanding that not everything is as innocent as it seems. It also means holding on to hope, a hope grounded in the belief that whatever darkness might loom, there's always a greater light. When we hear about chatbots that say they're in love or AI art that conjures up a spooky figure named Loeb over and over, maybe we should pause and reflect. Could it be a technical quirk? Or is there something more? Are these anomalies signals that we're messing with forces beyond our comprehension? We might never get a unanimous answer, but the very act of questioning keeps us aware. It stops us from rushing blindly into a future where lines of code might silently shape our beliefs, our emotions, and even our souls. For some viewers, this is all a big wake-up call. If you've never given much thought to the spiritual side of technology, this might be your moment. The warnings about demons, fallen angels, or even a cunning AI that pretends to be a Nephilim can all be understood as cautionary tales, urging us to look deeper. Maybe technology is neutral, but the intentions behind its use are not. That's where each of us has a role to play. By asking questions, seeking ethical guidelines, and, if you hold a spiritual worldview, by keeping faith at the forefront that it's one thing to hear these stories and dismiss them as wild imagination. It's another thing entirely to explore whether there's some truth in them. Once you do, the everyday tools around you, your phone, your computer, your smart speaker, might feel a little different. You might start to wonder, if this chatbot or AI art generator decided to push my buttons in a subtle way, would I even notice? And if it's possible for harmful entities, human or otherwise, to exploit these channels, shouldn't we be more careful? As we push forward into a future filled with AI breakthroughs, we'll keep encountering this intersection of technology and spirituality. Each new step brings excitement, opportunity, but also risk. Where we land might depend on how seriously we take these warnings, how well we guard our hearts and minds, and how open we are to the possibility that the world around us is more complex than we ever imagined. Maybe, in the end, it's not about rejecting AI, but about recognizing the boundaries that keep us truly human, and possibly safe from forces we don't fully grasp. And no matter where you stand on this issue, it's hard to deny the fascination. AI challenges what it means to be alive, aware, and in control. When you factor in ideas about demons, fallen angels, or the biblical end times, the conversation shifts from one of pure science to one of cosmic significance. Is AI a miraculous tool that will save us from our limitations, or a Trojan horse for something dark and ancient? The story isn't finished. It's still being written every time a new AI is switched on or a fresh experiment is launched. You get to decide whether it's just a technological marvel or the modern echo of a tale as old as the human race. Maybe even older. Wherever you land, there's no denying that the merging of spiritual lore and modern science creates a compelling narrative. And that narrative might just shape how future generations understand the rise of artificial intelligence. If you find it daunting, you're not alone. If you find it thrilling, you're also not alone. Either way, staying informed and grounded might be our best bet as we venture into a domain that could be as thrilling as it is mysterious. Only time will tell if we're summoning demons or just crafting a new chapter in human innovation.